So tonight we are making this. So I gave you a bit of a sneak peek of this last week, and this is using the All Things Fabulous stamp set. So as you can see, it's one of the stamp sets where you layer up the stamps and to add the colour on. And this little box houses, you just take the ribbon off the corners there and lift that lid. It houses 10 blend pens. So I've gone with the blue ones in here, shades of blue, but it fits 10 flat in an almost square box. I think the box is about 6, let's see, what is it? It's 6 3/4 by 6 1/4. So it's almost square, just a half inch difference there. So we'll pop this lid back on, and then the ribbon just sits on 2 of the corners to keep the box together, like so. And just a simple knot. Flip it over the corner there, and as you see, it just finishes it off. Lovely there, and it's all coordinating. So we're using 2 stamp sets this evening, and I'm going to do a different colour variation too. So you'll see this one, because the ribbon, the card and one of the main big flowers is all Seaside Spray. So tonight I'm going to focus more around Rococo Rose. So your bits of card that you will need. You'll need 2 pieces, and tonight I've gone with grey granite, whereas the other box was crumb cake. So grey granite, 8 1/4 by 7 3/4, and you'll need 2 of those, one for the base and one for the lid. And then, as I say, I was going with Rococo Rose. I don't know why, I always like a pink and a grey combination. So the Rococo Rose is 6 1/2 by 6, and then Whisper White, which is what we're going to be stamping that main flowery pattern onto, is 6 1/4 by 5 3/4. As you can see, that will layer up nicely on our Rococo Rose. And then these 2 are for some die cutting for our sentiment. So I've just got a scrap that's big enough. We'll be using the layering ovals, and it's the largest scallop and the largest oval that we'll be using, and they're just scraps big enough for us to do that. So I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to try and layer up all these stamps on video, try not to get my head in the camera, which will be a task on its own. So what we're using All Things Fabulous. So it was the lovely Halsey who brought this stamp set to my attention mainly. So it's a photopolymer, and the good thing about this stamp set is, because it's a 3-stage set, sometimes you sit and wonder which step goes with which stamp. These, and I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up on camera really, but they have a little numbering scheme above each of the stamps. So for example, this one that I've already mounted is 2A, the big one. The next one's 2B, and then the little one is 2C. So you know which one goes with which. It has been a challenge in the past on step-up stamps to work out which goes with which. So yes, All Things Fabulous, 26 photopolymer stamps you get in there. And as you can see, lots of varying different flowers, leaves, some little sprigs for the middles, some tiny little flowers too, and then you get 1, 2, 3, 4 sentiments there as well. So we're going to start with that. So I'm starting with this flower first. It's this flower, this one and this one, and we're going to do these in a set of pinks. So the 3 colours I'm going to use for this first set are Blushing Bride, Rococo Rose and Merry Merlot. So we're going to start with the Blushing Bride, and we're going to take the biggest of the flowers. So we're going to take this one here first, and I've got this mounted on a C block. And then I'm going to do one of my old firm favourites, and that's just a bit of random stamping. So ink this up. Got a nice juicy Blushing Bride pad here. let's see what this looks like when we stamp down. When stamping down, just remember that you've got 2 other sets of flowers that you want to fit on as well. So you don't want to be putting too many on, as you'll not fit all the others in. Should we go up here? We'll go up here. And then go there. And so what I like to do is I like to do 4 of each, and that just gives me a nice number, so to speak. Blushing Bride done. Next one is Rococo Rose, and I've got this one on a B block. Now to line them up, this is going to be a bit tricky to explain and capture on camera at the same time. So there's a little bit in the middle of each of the flowers that when you then stamp the next one is a good indicator of lining them up. And on this particular one, if I get something pointy, so on this particular flower here, we've got a couple of little curls in the middle, and there's one that just as it comes round here starts to open into like a V shape, and so that is the one that I use particularly down here, and that's how I line them up. She says this is an epic fail on me, so as you'll see, don't know how well you'll see this on the camera, and obviously this is in reverse, but there is the little triangle that I will be using to line up. So with Rococo Rose, we get that triangle. I'm going to bring this as close to me as I can so that I don't stick my head in the camera, and then line that triangle up, and there you go, see, and look at that lovely shadowing it's giving. And then I work my way round, and of course I did twist my stamp as I was going round, so I need to twist my paper to go with it, and trying not to stick my head in the camera again. You don't need to see these lockdown roots. Any other ladies out there can relate on the lockdown roots front? Has anyone managed to get into the hairdressers now that they were allowed? And then last one up here, using the same little marker. And there we go. So that's those ones. And then with the middle section, I'm lining the same triangles up again. This one's on an A block because it's tiny. And I'm going to use Merry Merlot to get those middles done. So again, I'm trying not to stick the roots on screen. Match up those little triangles. There we go. So look at the way that those 3 colours just give some definition to that flower that you've stamped. Ah, Alison, well done. I haven't managed to get in mine yet, but I can't say I've gone out of my way to try either, unfortunately. The day job, stamping up, and my college course have unfortunately taken a lot of my time. So I'll probably be like Rapunzel by the time I get in. So again, just working my way around, lining up those little markers so that we can get that lovely 3-tone flower. And I love this colour combination. And then the final one up here. And there we go, that's our pink flowers done. So I'm going to quickly just clean those stamps so that I can reuse the blocks. And I hope Sam's watching, because I'm known for a very messy craft room and not cleaning my stamps. So take note, I do it. So what am I using here? This is my stamping scrub, and I've just used some stamping mist. the wet side and then the dry side, and then I can pop these back in the case and we can get the next lot out. Yes, to get this done so you don't spend all your time just watching me cleaning stamps. Although I know some people might find that therapeutic. It does smell absolutely amazing though, just the new stamping mist. Right, okay, so next ones, we're going with this flower here at the top. And I'm going to do this in a yellow combination. So we'll get our stamps out first. Pop these ones back. So 1, 2 and 3. So they were 2A, 2B and 2C. I'm now going to use 1A, 1B and 1C. And the yellows, what yellows are we going to use? So I've got So Saffron, Daffodil Delight and Crushed Curry for this one. Let me get these the right way around. I need another little smaller block. We'll pop that on there. That's a bit of block overkill. Do it the other way around, shall we? There we go. Okay, so same as before, we're going to start with our lighter colour. So we've got our So Saffron, and we've got the bigger flower base. And I'm going to start over here. So again, just turning it slightly as I stamp. I'll go up there. Put one down here. And we'll pop one over here. So as you can see, I've gone off the paper on purpose with those, just to, I like to make it look like we've randomly stamped and then cut the card down rather than the other way around. It was too long before. Mine was very, Angelina, mine was full of split ends before lockdown, so you can imagine what mine's like now. And I daren't do it myself. There's just no way I would ever triumph at trying to do it myself. So what have I got now? I've got Daffodil Delight and I've got the second one. Now, how do I identify this one? So, on the last flower it was this like little split into a V. On this one I line up this curve here. So this curve, and then it goes round into this other little bit of a lip. So I match that up on this particular flower. And it seems to have worked for me so far. So again, without sticking my head in the camera. So 1, 2, and then these ones where I've slightly gone off will be a little bit different to line up, but will be right. And then our last one, well, you're braver than me because I didn't even contemplate doing it myself. I just couldn't, Angelina. So if you do, you'll have to show us what you do. I bet it'd be far better than any attempt I could muster up. Right, so the last one that I've got here, and I've got Crushed Curry for the last layer, and I'm using that same like a wave that goes through the flower here. My descriptions of flowers aren't too brilliant, but I hope you know what I mean. And then the last colour we're going to do is Seaside Spray. And then we're going to throw some leaves on there as well. Get it all on there, why not? And last one. YouTube is a very bad influence, right? It makes you think, it gets you into this false sense of security that because somebody on YouTube can do it, you must be able to do it as well. And I know that's quite ironic considering I do upload tutorial videos onto YouTube, but crafting and haircutting are opposite ends of the scales as far as I'm concerned. There's no way that I would ever try and teach somebody how to do haircutting via YouTube. No way. But I do highly commend those that can. It's not something I could take on myself. So again, just cleaning my stamps up here, and then I'll get my next ones mounted. And what we're doing with the last ones, we're doing, can't remember, what am I doing for the last flowers? Oh yes, that's right, I'm doing these three here. They're a smaller flower, and then we've got some leaves that will be going on as well. So, in the stamp set, these are labelled 3A, 3B and 3C. And the blue combination that we're going to be using is Seaside Spray, Balmy Blue and Night of Navy. So we're going to start with the Seaside Spray, and we're going to get the biggest of the flowers. And then again some random stamping. I throw a few more of these ones on just because they're nice and cute and they fill up a bit of space. Not too much though, because you still want some space for if you want to throw any of the other smaller flowers on, or if you want to include the leaves. I think that's enough for that one. Pop that away. So the next one is Balmy Blue, and I'll show you how I line this set of flowers up as well. So, oh no, see Alison, that is my worst nightmare. So I did cut my hair once and it didn't look too bad, but it didn't look hairdresser finished either. So I just haven't ever done it again. Right, so how do I line these ones up? This one's a bit trickier to show you. So there's a set of white little gaps in the middle, and there is a particular one. If I turn it, is it that way? You turn it a particular way, they do line up. Yeah, it's that way. So it's this. This one's here is probably the better one to show you. There's quite a long one, and then there's a wide one down here, and I tried to line those two up. Now, can I do it on camera now? Is the $1 million question. So. One. Two. And then get these last couple, and then we're on to our leaves. And last one. When I can get it the right way around. Is it that way? There we go, and then we get onto our navy, and then we're almost done with our stamping, which is good because this grid paper's annoying me now. I've messed it up. So night navy, and then we'll get this final little one, and this is where you do get a bit of test of the eyesight on this one as it's so small, but let's see, that way. I love those colours. Absolutely love those colours. And last one. And there we go. We'll get the leaves popped on now. So I've got pear pizzazz for the leaves. Which leaves did I use? There's 3 sets of leaves that you've got. There's 2 that have 3 on them, and then this one at the top that has just a pair of leaves, and that's what I'm using on this one. So I'll get my pair of leaves. Clean these stamps again, because I'd hate for anyone to feed back to Sam that I don't clean my stamps. Shove this straight on me. Don't put it down. Put it away. So we'll pop those over there. Is that one good for my leaves? Yeah. I do have someone banging in the background. Yeah, so I apologise if you can hear that really loud, but somebody's decided that literally 7:20 is the time that the next door plus one neighbour, who's currently doing it's like a shelter that covers the car, so the carport type thing, and they've decided that 7:20 is the time that they should do the corrugated, I don't know if it's plastic, on the top, but all you can hear now is them hammering away doing that. So I apologise if there's a lot of background noise. That's with the window shut as well, so you can imagine if I had my window open. So I digress. Leaves, pear pizzazz, and I'm just going to randomly stamp these as well. And then I think the green leaves just brings the whole thing together. Alright, just gives it a bit of a lovely finish there. Right, so I'm just going to quickly change this grid paper and pop these stamps away, and then we can get making the box. So we'll get rid of that over there, all my blocks. Let's take that grid paper off because it's annoying. And I'm just going to pop my stamped image to one side, and we're going to bring in the 2 pieces of grey granite. So just to recap, these are 8 1/4 by 7 3/4, and you're going to score both of them at the same measurements, but one ever so slightly different than the other. So I'm going to do the base first. So the base, you can book the card right up to the edge and score it on all 4 sides at 3/4 of an inch. So just turn it round, butt it right up to the edges and scoring it at 3/4. And then it's the same measurement on this piece for the lid, apart from I'm going to move it ever so slightly off the side, not even 1/8 of an inch, just a hair, and then again scoring at 3/4. So not butting it right up to the edge, you're moving it away ever so slightly, and then 3/4. Oh, see, Angelina, they just have no consideration for us that could be sat in our craft rooms, crafting away, and then all you can hear in the background is them hammering away at the roofs. And I mean, that's really loud now. I'd scowl at him, but I don't think he can see me. So you've now got your lid and your base. We need to just burnish these edges. All 4 sides. and that for both the base and the lid. And then we want to cut these in the same way. So there's nothing being removed from this. There's just some tabs that we have to create and then get that all stuck. So in each corner we've created a little square, and then we've got our long rectangles. So each of those squares we want to cut up and free the square from the side, and then just notch in ever so slightly on both sides. And then I just turn it so that it's a bit like a pinwheel, so to speak. And again, just notching those ever so slightly. And that's just so we get that nice fit when it comes to bringing it together. So up and notch and notch. See, I always thought that when doing lives, so I'm a mum of 3, I always thought that I'd get the kids popping in, or you'd hear them from their rooms, which, because I'm quite close to them, and you'd hear them. My son plays Fortnite and can get quite animated. I never once in a million thought it'd be people outside doing their roofs at 7:30 at night. Roll on winter, they won't be out at 7:30 then, will they? We can craft in peace. So I'm just doing the same on this piece, freeing that square and notching in on each corner. There we go. And then the final one, there we go. So they're both ready. Move those out of my way. So now I just like to bend the sides up and see how they fit, so I can work out the lid. But all I'm doing is, because I want to do this quickly after taking quite some time with the actual stamping, is I'm going to use my seal. And so fit in each corner on those tabs. And it will hold it, but I'd recommend using probably multi-purpose liquid glue would be better, so something like Tombow, which I absolutely love when I'm not on a time scale to finish what I'm doing. So then this edge up to that tab like so, all the way around. I'm going to talk really loudly and try and drown out the builders. And then we've got one there like so. And then do again the same on this other piece. Now look at that, I've got the knack of this Seal Plus now. I did struggle a little bit at first with it. I think it was like the fast food fuse we used to have. I used to sometimes struggle with that at the beginning, and then I got the knack of it and we were fine. I was on a roll. Then it retired. So there we go. And then them two, depending on which way round I've got them, will slot into one another quite easily. Like so. So now I know which is the lid and which is the base. I'm going to take the lid back off, and I have got, wherever I've put it, here we go, the 1.5 inch punch. And I'm just going to, if you're ever so careful with it, you can line the edge of it into the punch, because it's such a wide box and I don't want to take much. So you'll see there, I'm literally only putting a tiny bit in, because I don't want to bend my box either. Ideally you want to do this before, but just a little tiny bit in, and it's just enough that you get a little bit like that to pop your thumb in and take it off. So again, just eyeball in the middle. And then pop, like so. So if I get a random 10 pence, so pull in what we can reach. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So as you can see, it quite nicely fits 10 pence in. Then we can pop our lid on. And then what we're going to do now is I've got the Rococo Rose piece, and that's just going to sit on the top, and then we're going to pop our stamped piece on top as well. So I'm just going to get my normal seal for these. So all the way around, so we can pop this piece on. And then this stuff's that strong I have to peel myself off of it. Got that the right way? Yeah. So we'll just centre that up onto our Rococo Rose piece like so. And then we'll pop some more on the back of this. Like so. And then bring our box back in, and we'll centre that up on the top. Like so. And then, I haven't got the ribbon down. Where's my ribbon? It's up here. Oh. So I've got the Rococo Rose version of the scalloped linen thread, and this is a fairly new one, so we'll crack this open. And there, it's going to look lovely on there. So all I did was get a piece, hook it over one corner like so, and just hold it in place, bring it down, and then go to hook it over the other, just to get an estimation of how much ribbon I'm actually going to need. So we'll cut it there. So over one corner, bring these bits back down to the bottom. Oh god, you need about 7 arms to do this. There we go. And then I'm just going to put these into a simple knot like so. And I'm trying to keep my pink facing upwards, which isn't always easy. Right, so we'll pull that bottom bit tight, not too tight, you still want to be able to get it off, like so. And then I just diagonal cut them. It's going very gloomy outside, so in a minute you'll hear the builders stop, and you'll hear the thunder start by the look of it. So there we go. So the final bit that we need to do, and I'm going to show you my die cutter again. I got it out once last week, but we'll be getting it out again. So on this version I've got a thank you, and we're going to stamp that again. I wanted something that was nice and big to go in the middle with the size of the box. So we'll pop that out of the way. We'll get the cut and emboss machine out. Pop my punch away as well. So bringing the sides down, I'm going to grab plates. So we've got plate 1, we've got a plate 2, and then as you can see I've been using mine a bit already. So we've got a plate 3 as well. We're just going to pop those on, and then I have got the largest scalloped oval, and I've got the largest normal oval from the layering ovals. I've got a piece of Whisper White. Is that going to fit? That is going to fit. For the normal oval. So place that on. And then I've got a scrap of Rococo Rose for the scalloped oval. And I'm just going to pop these through. So I apologise for any glare that you've got, because these plates under my light will glint. And then we're just going to roll that through. There we go. And then the bit that I like is that you can just fold these sides back up, try not to trap your finger, and away it goes. So pop my dies away, get my scraps away, and there we go, we're left with our bits and bobs. So has everyone got their cut and emboss machines? How are you liking them? I'm loving mine, as you'll be able to tell by that cutting plate. So last thing, we're going to stamp our sentiment. So the sentiment is from the So Inviting stamp set. This was, I think this came out in the Celebration catalogue at the beginning of the year. Or was it last year? Not 100%, might have been last year's catalogue. But I loved it, as at the time I did have a wedding commission. I still do, and this is the stamp set that I used for it, and it's absolutely amazing for that. But on this occasion I've chosen it for the rather large thank you that it comes with. So as you can see, it needs a D block for this. And I'm going to stamp this one in grey granite to match that card that we used for the base and for the lid. Ink that up and see if I can get this straight again without sticking my head in. There we go, looks awesome. Got yours on Tuesday, awesome. How are you finding it so far, Alison? Loving mine, loving it. Right, okay, so we'll use, so I'm using CL Plus on the back of this one just to make sure the sentiment stays stuck. And then centre that up onto the Rococo Rose oval. Like so. And then the embellishments. So on the, I'm using the frosted and clear epoxy droplets. On the Seaside Spray one I used that's not a word, I used the frosted ones, and now I'm using the clear ones on this. Oh, Angelina, you must be envious. It is amazing. So imagine your Big Shot when it was brand new, but then staying brand new. It's an awesome thing. I love how smooth it is to glide the plates through. I always felt that, I mean, my Big Shot was quite old anyway, and I felt that I had to really crank it to get what I needed from it. Whereas this, I literally just glide it and off it goes. Oh yeah, Alison, I was disappointed that the magnetic plate's not available yet, but if we're loving the machine this much without it, imagine how much we're going to love it when that does turn up. Same with there was another plate that was unavailable at the time, but just imagine. Right, okay, so I'm now going to pop a couple of dimensionals on the back of there, just to give it some dimension, and I'm popping 5, like so. And then we'll just throw these backs on the floor, because it doesn't matter where I throw them, that's where they end up anyway. It seems like they have lives of their own, and just, I imagine that in a craft room, dimensionals are like Toy Story. When no one's looking, they all wake up and they just go do what they want. So pop that in the middle there. And there we go. So 2 blends boxes, slightly different variations on each one. So to recap, this one was grey granite and rococo rose, and this one is crumb cake and seaside spray. I think I'm leaning ever so slightly towards the rococo rose one. So yeah, but I'm loving both, and I love this stamp set. So as you can see, I've now stamped 2 where I've managed to line them up quite nicely. So which version do you prefer? Are we leaning towards the grey and pink or more to the crumb cake and blue? I think I'm firmly in the pink house. Right, okay, so that's this week's project. I hope you enjoyed watching that. So the products for this that I've shown throughout the tutorial will be available on my website via the shop button. You can find all the dimensions, say product crazy, in the description bar below this video if you're watching this back on YouTube. You can also find it over on my blog hullahbaloo.com tomorrow. And next week we will be back, same time, same place, but next week I can give you a sneaky peek of what we're making. We're doing a one sheet wonder, and we're going to be using the Snowflake Splendor suite. It makes 9 cards, but I've only got 8 here because my daughter stole one. But we'll be making 9 cards, all with the same design, using the designer series paper, the glimmer paper, the stamp set and the embellishments. So I hope to see you there. If you've got any queries, questions, or you want to know how you can join my team, drop me a message and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next week.